The Nerdwriter is my favorite video essayist. He's the reason I make video essays, so it bothered me when I watched this one, an examination of Interstellar, Christopher Nolan's 2014 space epic. The Nerdwriter criticizes the film, chastising Nolan, a fairly old-school director, for embracing such a heady spectacle as a space odyssey. These criticisms aren't without merit. He notes that none of Nolan's movies are more interested in people than concepts, as was perhaps most obvious in Inception, but Interstellar hits on emotions for me, as Inception, or any of Nolan's other films, never could, so I'd like to argue for once against the Nerdwriter's criticisms. Spectacle does not eclipse story, it's just that the story is subtle. It's a subtext. We have to work for it, as we do the narrative of a poem versus The Dark Knight, but through that work, we're afforded something that elicits feeling a comic book movie simply can't give us. The Passing of FDR is a poem by Polly Murray. In it, she describes Franklin Roosevelt's death as his standing from his wheelchair and marching, whistling, spreading an eagle's wings into the Georgia twilight, finally freed from the chains of polio. A fairly straightforward poem, but what makes it brilliant is its subtext, what we find hidden inside the images Murray gives us. Georgia is the place of warm springs, a frequent stop for polio victims. FDR famously died there, but for Murray, a black woman, the Georgia twilight in 1945 meant something very different. Georgia was only second to Mississippi in lynchings from 1877 to 1950. As FDR dances down the road, he's freed from some killing weight, eliciting an image of a hanging body, and his inability to walk in life is compared to a black man's inability to walk in the Georgia twilight in 1945. Then these lines. "Bare your breast to the grindstone, brothers. Let the heart filings fill the crack of time. A grindstone strengthens a blade, but whittles it down to do it." It's been strongly suggested that FDR's fight through polio gave him the strength he needed to lead the country through the Great Depression and World War II. Through all of it, he was known for his positivity, his hopefulness in the face of the greatest pain the U.S. had ever seen. But how beaten he must have been to be so exultant in death. Polio had no cure, only death, as only in death, Murray argues, can a black man be truly free. This particular image of a disease with no cure, that attacks a man suddenly, without warning, that mercilessly robs him of all bodily freedom, elicits a universal feeling of fear, regardless of race. And so when we read this subtle metaphor of racism as polio, we're given a much deeper feeling than we would just hearing Murray's views on racism. This is what Murray does so well, and I argue it's what Interstellar does so well. But where Murray explores racism through polio, Interstellar explores humanness through space. Heady, yes, but not empty. It's not the space odyssey, the mountainous tsunamis, or the creeping brilliance of Gargantua that matter. It's the loneliness of space and being truly lost, truly separated from everything we hold dear, and the knowledge that it was our own choices that got us there. It's the fear of time passing, of watching those around us age, of losing our friends, our family, of looking up and realizing that we allowed life to pass us by. Interstellar is a metaphysical examination of the very human concept of regret. Christopher Nolan's films often deal with concepts of time, following a storyline backwards, as he did with Memento, or following 3 timelines at once, like Dunkirk, but Interstellar examines our fear of time, our fear that life can and will go on without us. Our human concept of time is, in fact, a human construct. In reality, time is pulled by gravity. It changes. Interstellar argues that it is our inability to understand our own powerlessness over something we feel we created that allows us to watch time slip through our fingers. There are indeed sappy saunderings of love, I do admit, but it's not Brand's insistence that love is the only thing that transcends time and space that's important. It's Coop's inability to consider that it has any power at all. That inability is what takes him away from his daughter, to the wrong planets, and wastes the precious time that he has. It's what traps him inside Gargantua, that has him watching his daughter grow without the ability to reach out and touch her, watching her time slip through his fingers. Nolan's most mind-bending film isn't as simple as a metaphor for our human fears, but I think it's grounded by that humanness, and that's what makes it so beautiful. Lewis Carroll stated that we only regret the chances we didn't take, the relationships we were afraid to have, and the decisions we waited too long to make. And Interstellar is, I believe, not a space odyssey in which spectacle eclipses story, but subtext on our fear of time, and the very human concept of regret over letting it pass.